You're watching Tornado Facts with Beanrock124. My name is Nathan, and I talk about tornadoes all the time. Now, this is Season 2, Episode 2 of Tornado Facts with Beanrock124, and I'm going to be talking about a different kind of tornado outbreak, one that we have never seen before, hence why it's called the Storm of the Century, which was also known as the 93 Superstorm, the No-Name Storm, or the Great Blizzard of 93 or 1993. Yeah, I'm not talking about just the tornado outbreak, I'm talking about the entire thing. I put this as a Tornado Facts Beanrock124 video because obviously there were tornadoes in it, otherwise I would have not talked about it. But I decided to just talk about the full thing because the tornado outbreak part was not the main event of this. Well, let's look at the storm. It looks like a weird bent pickaxe stretching from Honduras all the way up to Canada. This storm was a cyclonic storm that formed over the Gulf of Mexico on March 12, 1993. The cold weather, heavy snowfall, high winds, and storm surges that the storm brought affected a very large area. At its height, stretched from Canada to Honduras, like I just said. The cyclone moved through the Gulf of Mexico and then through the eastern United States before moving on to eastern Canada. It eventually dissipated in the North Atlantic Ocean on March 15th. Yeah, you'd think this would be a hurricane. Yeah, if anybody calls this a hurricane, you know where to go. Heavy snowfall was first reported in highland areas as far south as Alabama and northern Georgia, with Union County, Georgia, reporting up to 35 inches of snow. Birmingham reported a rare 13 inches of snow. The Florida Panhandle reported up to 4 inches of snow, with hurricane-force wind gusts and record low barometric pressures recorded there as well. Between Louisiana and Cuba, the hurricane-force winds produced high storm surges across the Big Bend of Florida, which, in combination with scattered tornadoes, killed dozens of people. Record cold temperatures were seen across portions of the southern United States and eastern United States in the wake of the storm. In the United States, the storm was responsible for the loss of electric power to more than 10 million people, or 10 million households. An estimated 40% of the country's population experienced the effects of the storm, with a total of 208 fatalities. In all, the storm killed 318 people and caused $5.5 billion in 1993 dollars in damage. The greatest recorded snowfall amounts were at Mont Le Conte. I pronounced that wrong, don't remind me. Where 56 inches of snow fell, and Mount Mitchell, North Carolina, the tallest mountain in eastern North America, where 50 inches of snow were measured to fall, and 15-foot snowdrifts were reported. Now here's your meteorological synopsis. A lot. A volcanic winter is thought to have started with the 1991 eruption of Mount Pintaboo. Guess what? It's in the Philippines. Luzon. That's where I'm from. The temperature, well, before we continue, if anybody makes any jokes about the Philippines in the comments because of this, I'm ashamed to admit it, but go to you-know-where. The temperature in the stratosphere rose to several degrees higher than normal due to the absorption of radiation by the aerosol. The cloud from the eruption persisted in the atmosphere for 3 years. The eruption, while not directly responsible, may have played a part in the formation of the Storm of the Century. During March 11 and 12 of 1983, temperatures over much of the eastern United States began to drop as an Arctic high-pressure system built over the midwestern U.S. and Great Plains. Concurrently, an extratropical area of low pressure moved over Mexico along a stationary front draped west to east. By the afternoon of March 12th, a defined air mass boundary was present along the deepening low. Initial burst of convective precipitation fall off the southern coast of Texas, facilitated by the transport of tropical moisture into the region, enabled an initial intensification of the surface feature on March 12th. Supported by a strong split polar jet stream and a shortwave trough, the nascent system rapidly deepened. The system's central pressure fell to 995 millibars by midnight on UTC on March 13th. A powerful low-level jet over eastern Cuba and the Gulf of Mexico enhanced the cold front extending from the low southward to the Isthmus of Yeah. Furthermore, the subtropical jet stream was displaced unusually far south, reaching into the Pacific Ocean near Central America and extending toward Honduras and Jamaica. Intense geostrophic flow was noted over the southern United States. We all know I'm dyslexic, that's why I struggled with that word. With winds flowing perpendicular to isobars over Louisiana. What are those? Okay, math. As the area of low pressure moved through the central Gulf of Mexico, a shortwave trough in the northern branch of the jet stream fused with the system in the southern stream, which further strengthened the surface low. A squall line developed along the system's cold front, which moved rapidly across the eastern Gulf of Mexico through Florida and Cuba. The cyclone center moved into northwest Florida early on March 13. Hey, that sounds similar to a certain tropical storm that's about to strengthen into a hurricane that could become a Category 4 hurricane by the time it makes landfall on Wednesday. I wonder what that is. Yeah, if you don't know, there's a Category 4 hurricane heading, possibly Category 4 hurricane heading toward Florida. Looks like it'll be Category 2 by landfall, but you never know. It could become Hurricane Michael. And we don't want that. Well, some people with a dark sense of humor might. Anyways. A significant storm surge in the northwestern Florida peninsula that drowned 7 people. This initially caused the storm to be a blizzard, but also cyclonic. Barometric pressures recorded during the storm were low. Readings of 976 millibars were recorded in Tallahassee, and even lower readings of 960 were observed in New England. Low pressure records for March were set in areas of 12 states along the eastern seaboard, with all-time low pressure records set between Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. Snow began to spread over the eastern United States, and a large squall line moved from the Gulf of Mexico into Florida and Cuba. The storm system tracked up the east coast during Saturday and into Canada by early Monday morning. In the storm's wake, unseasonably cold temperatures were recorded over the next 2 days in the southeast. Now, the storm of the century marked a milestone in the weather forecasting of the United States. By March 8, 1993, several operational numerical weather prediction models and medium range forecasters at the United States National Weather Service recognized the threat of a significant snowstorm. This marked the first time the National Weather Service meteorologists were able to predict accurately a system's severity 5 days in advance. Official blizzard warnings were issued 2 days before the storm arrived, as shorter range models began to confirm the predictions. Forecasters were finally confident enough of the computer forecast models to support decisions by several northeastern states to declare a state of emergency even before the snow started to fall. Now, if you're wondering, where's the tornadoes? Be patient, jeez. The storm complex was large and widespread, affecting at least 26 states and much of eastern Canada. It brought in cold air along with heavy precipitation and hurricane-force winds, which ultimately caused a blizzard over the affected area. This also included thunder snow from Georgia to Pennsylvania and widespread whiteout conditions. Jim Cantori would have been jealous, probably. Snow flurries were seen in the air as far south as Jacksonville, Florida. That was my phone, if you heard that. And some areas of central Florida received a trace of snow. Hang on a second. The storm severely impacted both ground and air travel. Airports were closed all along the eastern seaboard, and flights were canceled or diverted, thus stranding many passengers along the way. Every airport from Halifax to Tampa were temporarily closed due to the storm. Highways were also closed or restricted all across the affected region, even in states generally well prepared for snow emergencies. Before people start leaving this video because I don't talk about tornadoes, you know what? Screw it. We're going to skip to the tornadoes right now. So there were none unrated, 4F0, 4F1, 3F2, and nothing above that for a total of 11 tornadoes. Strongest being this one, probably the first one, which was the deadliest. However, this was the longest trek. Tornado right here. Huey in the Hills, Lake County, Florida, in the Orlando-Kissimmee area. Okay, yeah, whatever. On the ground for 30 miles, 1 death. This was the deadliest here. Anyways, I don't know what else to talk about because, oh, here. Besides producing record low barometric pressures across a swath of the southeast and mid-Atlantic states and contributing to one of the nation's biggest snowstorms, the low produced a potent squall line ahead of its cold front. The squall line produced a serial derecho as it moved into Florida and Cuba shortly after midnight on March 13th. Straight line winds gusted over 100 miles an hour. Many locations in Florida as the squall line moved through. A substantial tree fall was seen statewide from this system. The supercells and the derecho produced 11 tornadoes. The first was an F2 that touched down in Chiefland at 4:38 UTC on March 13, damaging several mobile homes and downing trees and power lines. 3 people were killed and 7 people sustained injuries. Around the same time, an F1 tornado spawned near Crystal River. After moving eastward into the town, the twister damaged 15 homes, several of them severely, and a total of 3 people were injured. The next tornado was a waterspout that moved ashore over Treasure Island around 5 a.m. UTC. Being rated F0, the tornado de-roofed 1 home, damaged several others, and impacted a few boats. Around 5:04 UTC, F0 tornado was reported in Newport Richey, damaging several homes and injuring 11 people. About 16 minutes later, an F2 tornado formed to the southwest of Ocala. Many trees and several storage buildings and a warehouse suffered extensive damage, while 1 hangar was destroyed and 2 others received major damage at the Ocala International Airport. At 5:20 UTC, approximately the same time as the Ocala tornado, another twister, rated F1, touched down near La Crosse. Several trees and power lines were downed, and a few homes were destroyed, one from a propane explosion. 1 person was killed and 4 others sustained injuries. And about 10 minutes later, another F2 touched down near Huey in the Hills. As it moved through Mount Dora, it destroyed 13 homes, substantially damaging 80 and inflicting minor damage on 266 homes. 1 person, a 5-month-old baby, was killed while 2 others were injured. At 5:30 UTC, a waterspout turned F0 tornado tossed a 23-foot sailboat about 300 feet at the Davis Islands Yacht Club in Tampa, while 5 other boats broke loose from their cradles and 12 were smashed into the seawall. About 30 minutes later, an F1 tornado formed in Jacksonville, demolishing 4 dwellings and damaging 16 others. At 6 o'clock UTC, an F0 spawned near Bartow, snapped a few trees and damaged a few doors. I like how they specifically said few doors. Like the tornado ripped the doors off a house and left the house fine. The final tornado developed in Jacksonville at 6:10 UTC. The twister damaged a few trees near the Jacksonville airport. At the airport itself, the tornado damaged several jetways and service vehicles, while Boeing 737 was pushed about 40 feet. That's nice. Substantial storm surge was also generated along the Gulf Coast from Appalachia Bay in the Florida Panhandle to north of Tampa. Due to the angle of the coast relative to the approaching squall, Taylor County along the eastern portion of Appalachia Bay and Hernando County north of Tampa were especially hit hard. And I'll show you what it's talking about if I can find a... See, this is a good one. See how the storm looks like that? The coast looks like that? So if it rolled in like that, it would have gone there, and it would have hit these counties pretty hard. Storm surges in those areas reached up to 12 feet, higher than many hurricanes. With little advance warning of incoming severe weather conditions, some coastal residents were awakened in the early morning hours of March 13th by the waters of the Gulf of Mexico rushing into their homes. More people died from drowning in the storm than in Hurricanes Hugo and Andrew combined. Andrew occurring not even 6 months before. Actually, no, probably is more. Overall, the storm surge, winds, and tornadoes damaged or destroyed 18,000 homes, and a total of 47 lives were lost in Florida due to the storm. What? Huh. So that is it for this weird tornado facts with Beanrock124 video. Season 2, episode 2, or episode 22. 2222. That's nice. Anyways, next week it'll be an actual tornado facts Beanrock124 video. I just wanted to do this one because it does talk about tornadoes and it's a storm of the century, so why not? Anyways, goodbye.